Yes, welcome everyone here to the Smash Sport Show right here on Smash FM here on Lockdown Saturday here in Melbourne. Of course, let's turn our attention now to cycling in particular and, of course, speak to one of our favourite cycling clubs. Of course, that is the Caulfield Carnegie Cycling Club. And, of course, we've got two very special guests from that club to tell us a bit about how they've been coping with lockdown at the moment, as well as, I guess, the sport of cycling at the moment. And they join us right now. Thanks, both, for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
No worries. Well, I'll get both of you to introduce yourselves and obviously what's both your involvements there at the club.
My name's Alyssa. I'm a club member and I also race for Sydney Uni Staminade and that's my dad.
Yeah, my name's Kosta and I'm actually one of the committee members, the vice president in the club. So I tend to have a bit of involvement in the club inside and out. And trying to get the things moving back into a positive spin for either this year or next year for our club.
Now, I'll start off you first, Kosta. Now, you mentioned that you're the vice president of the club. And obviously, last time I went to a Caulfield Carnegie meet was at Glenville. Glenville back in probably Feb or March, I think it was, the top of my head. I guess, how has it been like to sort of try and work way through, hopefully getting things back into normality in regards to events?
When it comes to events, we already pre-planned a lot of our permits, and now it's just the due diligence of our club, plus working together with government bodies like Cycling Victoria and our local councils to see when it's ready to get up and racing again. So Linda, who's been working in the background, has already put our permits in, and it's just to get the go-ahead. And when we do get the go-ahead, we'll see our club membership go up again, and see people participate in our Glenville criteriums in our summer period.
I guess what how has this year been like in regards to, I know normally the cycling season is normally in the summer anyway, especially in regards to road. I guess, how has it been like during the, I guess normally I think it'd be track season or almost to the end of the track season at the moment, but how has it been like during this lockdown periods for the club?
For the club itself, it's all we're seeing now is our membership drive. It's gone down in a way that there's no racing. There's no road racing because usually in the winter period we have road racing. So as this is not prevalent anymore, it's not in the case where we can race. It's just hard to predict, how the club's going to go. It's just when everything starts to open up again, we'll see, the old-fashioned Carnegie come to rise again. So we're just fingers crossed that something does happen near the end of the year and the borders start opening up again to get that positive feedback from our club members and go into the positive direction of trying to race during the winter and the summer season.
Now, Alyssa, of course, for you, I guess how frustrating is it for you to not be with your team at the moment?
It's not too frustrating. I mean, we would have had a team camp in, I think it was May, it was scheduled for, which would have been really nice to actually meet each other in person for the first time. I haven't had much involvement with the team yet, just due to COVID and school. So yeah, a little bit frustrating, but we've had a few Zoom meetings and, just to catch up, discuss team values and what to look forward to in the next coming years or months ahead. So yeah, most of the girls are based in New South Wales, so they've been fortunate enough to get in some crit races. I know a few of the girls have had some state time trial championships. So yeah, lucky them.
Have they been keeping track on how you're travelling, and have they been giving you some encouragement during our
Yeah, Yeah, no, they've been really supportive since I'm in year 12. They've always checked in on me every once in a while. I'm like, oh, how's your studies going? You know, how's school going? Are you back at home or still in school? But yeah, obviously back at home again. But otherwise it's been fine. I've adapted well, I think. So yeah.
Now, it's something I love about the club, and especially that you promote really well on social media. Give me one update of how that's been travelling. But the one thing I love is that you do this ISO cycling event sort of thing.
ISO Cup. Yeah, ISO Cup. That's been run by David Williams. And he's really taken it by the bull by the horns. And it's actually starting to get momentum. So I think this weekend, I think, is the last race. I think it is. And to try and spice it up, he's actually put a $50 bounty for the King of the Mountain or the Queen of the Mountain. So there's a voucher there. So anyone that wants the race for tomorrow, there's $50 up for grabs.
Fantastic. And I guess I'm sure it's not too late for people to get involved in that. And where's the circuit that they'll be doing this ISO?
I've got to look that up now. Just wait a second.
I think it's on Beach Road.
But there's a
that might have been the previous one.
No, that's the previous one.
Can't keep up.
Marrakesh, Black Rock. Yeah, it is. So around Beach Road. There we go. My daughter was right.
Yeah. Now, I mentioned about the King of the Mountain and all that. I'm like, obviously, normally when everyone's in Melbourne knows that there's not much hills involved down Beach Road, especially in the Black Rock area where this is staged on Sunday. I guess how are they going to determine who's the King of the Mountain, considering there's not much mountains involved?
I think they're trying to cater for the crit riders. So they're the ones that don't like hill stages. So any little hill's a mountain for them. So probably the one around Ricketts Point is probably where the King of the Queen of the Mountain is going to be. So we'll see.
So how has it been like with the ISO Cup through the first 12 weeks? 12 weeks as of this weekend.
Like every week's been a challenge. And when we first started, we only had a few numbers. And then as the weeks progress, it's almost like word of mouth. And it's actually it's gotten traction now. And that's due to the fact that the positive vibes that David Williams puts in, and also his nephew, David Fox Williams. He's been in the background promoting it socially. So every week it's actually gotten bigger in a way where we got to the point where we got prize money of $50 for the King and the Queen of the Mountain, as I discussed just previously. And and every week they do try and fix the problems. And I can see that with David's positivity, it'll be a shame that this is the last one. But I'm hoping that he does continue it until our normal racing gets back up and going. Because either this is probably a step for our winter program, because we don't have road racing at the moment, but we're in talks to actually either join with other clubs for the winter series. And that's when we usually have our road racing, and the summer is when you have your track and your crit series. So hopefully that plays a part in our club with the e-racing combined with our road racing.
And I have to ask for both of you, how's the preparations like for the last one tomorrow, and hopefully try to snatch that $50 to be the King of the Mountain or the Queen of the Mountain?
I hate to disappoint you, I haven't raced one yet.
Oh.
I hate to put you on the back seat there, but yeah, it's just the training program that we have. It's during that period of time when when the club's racing. So that's been the hardest part. So Alyssa's got to get to a point where she's a certain percentage fit when she goes into her exam period, and then if the lockdown does lift, because supposedly we're supposed to have racing in December. But she won't race that. It's more pre-planning for next year, the start of next year.
I've done a lot of virtual rides, both on Swift and full gas. I haven't tried RGT yet, but yeah, it'd be cool. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, sorry to disappoint you, mate.
All right, that's right, all good. Now, for both of you, how did both of you get involved in cycling, and why did you choose it?
I got involved. My brother introduced me to cycling. This is probably about, say, 26 years ago. And I was more competitive, if, say, in school, say, primary, secondary, and probably the early part of uni was more running and swimming. So I was from that type of background. And then when my brother got into cycling, that was one thing I wanted to try. And when I did try it, I kind of excelled at it pretty quickly and grew through the love of the sport. And from the love of the sport, you know, it turned into a passion to race. And then going up through the grades pretty quickly. And then when I got up to a certain grade, then I gave it a miss. I had university at that time, so I decided to actually complete the university degree. When I did that, got married, had kids, put everything on the back burner, and then the kids got involved and they wanted to do cycling because I was actually doing it part-time just for fun. And they wanted to actually start cycling locally on the bike tracks. And then when I saw they were getting fitter, I actually introduced them to Caulfield Carnegie, their first view of Glenvale Crit Series.
I got jealous because my brother had a little racer, little road bike, and I didn't have one. So that's when I jumped on I think I was riding a mountain bike or something for my first Glenvale, because he started riding it with Dad in Novice. And then, yeah, I felt a bit left out, so I gave it a shot, and then, yeah, got my first road bike. I won that in a Weet-Bix triathlon, and yeah, haven't looked back since.
Now, we mentioned Glenvale quite a few times, and obviously I've experienced it, what it's been like as a spectator. Was it the most, I guess, I have to ask this question, was it the most popular criterium in Victoria?
Well, they call it the Watts Cottage because it's one of the hardest criteriums. You know, I might be biased, but usually the competition there, it's just, it's a varied circuit. It's not directly flat. You got your little uphill in one little section. You got a slight downhill in your first bend. And then you got, when you round your second bend, you know, usually there's a headwind and it's a dead flat. And then when you hit the round, you know, the third, it starts to climb a little, and then you start that process again. So if it's a hard race, it's easy to be disheartened and drop out and just try and take your number off slowly and either camouflage yourself behind the tree and just quickly drop off your number and piss off. Yeah, but it's competitive. It's not for everyone. Like I get to ride with a few grades when I'm marshalling. There's people there just for the fun of the sport, and there's there on the other spectrum where they want to race. And then you get the positive feedback for the ones that want to race, and then you get the negative feedback for the ones that want more of a club ride. So
it's a pretty safe circuit as well, so that's probably another factor that attracts a lot of people to Glenvale.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And at the present moment, probably in the southeast suburbs, we're probably the only one at the moment with a permit. Where St Kilda at the moment have lost theirs in Port Melbourne. It's a shame. It's just, this is where you start to rethink, you know, during the isolation period, you know, how's it going to affect us in the future? You know, how long do we have that permit for Glenvale? Because every style of business is starting to change. There's a good chance we might be put out as well. But that's theories I'm talking about. It might not, you know, happen, but hopefully we keep our permit as long as we can. and keep the healthy racing up at Glenvale.
Now, I know that you occasionally use Sandown racecourse as well. I guess, how has that been like, and especially how difficult is that circuit for anyone out there? I have no idea. Obviously, it's mainly used for motor racing, but how difficult is it on the bike on that track?
On a windy day, it's hard. It's really hard. There's a nice incline in the back straight, which really stings the legs, I guess. But yeah, technical enough to really keep you on the ball, I guess. But yeah, it's a fun track. And yeah, I always get excited racing there. Feel like a car. It's cool.
Yeah, because you do take a racing line of a car when you go 3 to 4 abreast. You can't take the line of a normal cyclist, say if you go single file. But when you do go 3 to 4 abreast, you're actually racing the line of a race car.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it exciting. So you do have your thrills and spills. And then as we run it every Tuesday night during the summer, it's only during daylight savings where you get the most, say, daylight. And when it does start to get a bit dark, that's when we start to run the show down, and we just close it for the other season, wait for the next summer season. But it's one of those races where you can really turn it around in a way that you can race the opposite circuit as well, and it becomes a different circuit again.
Oh, okay.
So it's a fun circuit. It's a circuit that you never get bored of. It's not like Glenvale, because it takes a while to get around, and every week it's a different race. And it all depends how the wind's going to blow up, or how strong, you've got some of your competitors in your group. So it's always different.
What will be some highlights throughout both your cycling journey so far?
That's a big one. I raced the Austral, actually, I think late last year in December. That was really, it was a really cool experience to actually race against, Australian representatives on the track. That was a dream come true for me. That was probably my, big highlight. In terms of achievements, this year so far, I've only been able to do road nationals in Bunningong, which, I was fortunate enough to take a few placings, and then we had the state championships for track, and I came away with a good time in the individual pursuit, and unfortunately still waiting for track nationals to come around, but plenty of time to work for that, so
my highlights was actually seeing the kids in our training group start to excel at their sport. It could be, they start from a position where they're learning how to do their track skills to road skills, and the way they improve and the way they mature as well as a sports person. That's what I enjoy. I just like seeing their level step up every year, or even every month, depending how hard they train and how much they put in. And especially when you talk about when they start getting older in their age groups, from under 17 and above, that's where I like to see how the kids improve. When they're under, say, first year under 17s and below, I like to see them take a fun part from the sport. Don't take it too seriously. And I just like to see them enjoy the sport. And then from there, that's when you see whether the child really wants to put the full effort in. And that's what I enjoy, when they have their own choice to decide whether they want to lead a more national based racing or just club racing. That's what I enjoy. That's my highlights.
Now, the one thing down at Glenvale was it was a real community feel about the whole club. And Kosta, I want to ask you this question, obviously, being part of the community, obviously being the vice president, but also you're a parent of kids that are involved at the club. What does it all mean to you in regards to seeing, seeing your kids in the sport and obviously all the other kids that are doing the same thing? What does that mean to you as a parent, but also as a committee member?
So as a committee member, I see, so if you have children in the sport, especially in our club, you see growth in our club as well. It's not just, say, your middle-aged person onwards. So you've got a family unit, that family unit creates that community feel. So they're usually, the parents usually do the volunteering services in that club, and that's what gives the community feel. And then when you do have the kids, going up the ranks, you tend to keep those parents longer in that sport as well, not just the kids. So I think that's a key factor where you do have that family unit, because even when they do get older, to the point where they're starting getting their license, and they still have the love of the sport, it makes you feel proud that they're loving it just as much as you are. So, and then it actually puts a positive feel to the club as well. So it's not all about how competitive you are all the time, it's how you can keep the club together and the community feel too.
Now, what does the sport of cycling mean to both of you, and especially being there at Carnegie Caulfield?
So when I first started in Caulfield Carnegie, I was mentored from Mick Hollingworth. And the way he taught me as an ex-Olympian, the way he taught me how to race and how to be safe in a group and how to ride in a group. And then that got me thinking that, when I do get older, because I missed my racing years, I didn't actually race during that period when I was young. So when I did get back into the sport, my first thing was to give back to the club. And that club that gave me the opportunity, but I didn't take the opportunity to race, was Caulfield Carnegie. So if I can actually give back to the club by introducing the love for the sport to the younger generation or even the older generation, and teach them a safe way how to ride around the circuit, and the way things got taught by me by an older generation, I like to pass that down. What they've taught me is invaluable. So I think that's the key aspect of that community feel in the Caulfield Carnegie Race Club.
Yeah, kind of the same. I also got a little bit of advice from Mick as a novice, and even now I still get, some good tips from Mick Hollingworth. And yeah, again, that family feel, that's really special to me. And hopefully I can give back to the club one day.
Yeah, but you also forget one person that's actually had more.
And Hilton. Hilton, he picked me up when I, didn't really know how to, continue further in the sport. I didn't really know where I had my stance in the sport. And we've become a really good team, and he's really special to me. I value his time and work, and he does a lot for the club and for me and his training group. It's always a pleasure to work with Bill. But it's been good.
Because I thank you as you mentioned Hilton, because I was going to ask you, you weren't going to mention it. So thank you as you've actually mentioned it. So I'll go on to the next question, which is for everyone out there that should get involved in cycling once we all get out of lockdown. How can I go about getting involved there at Carnegie Caulfield?
Now at the moment we've approached Glenora Council just due to the fact that the way things are going with the COVID-19 situation, to get racing up and going, probably the easiest bet is to try and get track cycling on our local track down at Packer Park.
Okay.
So we're trying to introduce, say, the schools around, and also the local community, the ones I've actually seen train around Packer Park but don't belong to anyone. So they have a passion for the sport. The way you can tell by the bikes they ride. It's when I first started, I never rode that type of bike. I couldn't afford that type of bike, but they love the sport that much. And that's where I like to actually try and, not poach, but try and step them in the right direction and say if they do want to race, the track's probably the safest and easiest way to actually start racing. So that's probably one introduction, to try and get people in that style of racing. And if it's not for them, it's just trying to get, we've all got the permits out there, but it's the way we actually promote, and we should promote like the way we're doing for the ISO Cup. So more social media, maybe more social rides to invigorate people to actually join a club. And when they do, there's a good decision where they might stick at social riding, and there might be that small or large percentage why they might convert to racing. So it's all in the pipeline. It's just to get things up and going now after isolation.
And of course, I'll finish off with this one last one, which is, I know that every club has obviously sponsors and obviously people that just work behind the scenes that don't get noticed at all. How important is that, especially an amazing club like Carnegie Caulfield?
It's like I said before, if you don't have the volunteers, you don't have a club. So to have a financial backer is also a big help as well. So when it comes to our volunteers like Reevesy, if you don't have him, he just donates his time for being the commissaire there at Glenvale and also down at Sandown. Now, he's in his retirement years and he doesn't need to go there, but he has that much passion and he loves to see hard racing. So that's his life. He comes down every Sunday, he sets up with us, and then he also packs up at the end of the day as well. He's just that type of person he's always got his nose down to the grindstone. You can't ask for any more. And then you've got other people like Mick Collingworth. He donates a lot of his time teaching people in novice groups, D grade, and wherever else he can help out. And then you've got Linda, on the desk, the front line. And then you have other mothers as well that help out. And the list goes on and on and on. And then to have, say, a financial sponsor, like I said, it's a bonus. But most important is our volunteers. That's what runs the club.
And of course, I'll finish this one for Alyssa, which is, do you have any long or short-term goals yourself in cycling?
Hopefully I can make it all the way and, represent Australia, possibly be a part of the team pursuit team for track. That's a good, long-term goal I have. In terms of short-term, hopefully get back into racing in real life. And I wouldn't mind trying to go for the time again for the individual pursuit. Either match it or better it or get close to it. That would be my next checkbox, I guess, to tick off. So everything in moderation.
Well, both of you, thank you so much for giving up your time on your weekend to join us. So obviously, hopefully we can get back out to doing the things we love doing, including, of course, those amazing events that you used to do, of course, on the track and obviously on the road with the crits at Glenvale and obviously at Sandown once that summer hits in about 2 months' time, and hopefully we can all get back to some sort of normality once we get out of lockdown.
Thanks, Bill, and also I'd like to thank you as well for interviewing us and also putting us, in the limelight or social media limelight. to promote our club. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
No worries. And that's Alyssa and Kosta there from the Carnegie Caulfield Cycling Club. Of course, it is not too late to get involved in the final ISO Cup, of course, round 12 event. Of course, we'll share that poster with our, of course, our viewers and listeners, of course, sometime tonight. Of course, for everyone to get involved tomorrow. There's more on the Smash Sport Show right after this. Don't go away. Here on Lockdown Saturday.